What can we expect from season 2 and 3 in terms of like different weight classes?
Sure. Season number 2 is going to stay. Season number 2 and 3 will both stay true to the format, to the philosophy that Bellator has established. It'll be a tournament format. It will be 8 fighters per weight class. Those fighters will fight 3 times over a 3-month period to establish themselves as either the number 1 ranked challenger or as a champion. Season number 2, which is coming up the first quarter of 10, will establish a featherweight, lightweight, welter, and middleweight number 1 ranked challenger to face Hector Lombard, Lyman Good, Eddie Alvarez, and Joe Soto in championship fights. We will also, and Matt Stanzel's been working on this, we've been bouncing it back and forth, trying to construct a women's tournament as well that could complement it with some really highly talented women from all over the globe to come together and have a women's tournament functioning as well. Season number 3, if we can put it together and you can get the right kind of mixture together in terms of the 8, will probably include a heavyweight tournament. Which we wanted to do. We've got the Dave Hermans of the world, and the Eddie Sanchez, and other people who I think would fit into that mix beautifully. But you've got to round it out with 6 other fighters who you really you want to see and want to watch compete. But season number 3, probably a heavyweight tournament, and either 205 or 135, and that would kind of to be determined. There's some great fighters at 35 from all over the world that are not getting a huge opportunity to show themselves on national television. 205 is a hyper-competitive division, and obviously the UFC's got a monster control over some of the greatest fighters in the world at 205. So we'll see how that fits together, but definitely a couple of weight classes being added during season number 3.
Okay. And there's the EA Sports MMA video game. Seems to be the best fighters in the world, not in the UFC, except for Randy Couture.
Sure.
Will we see Bellator fighters?
We have been, I think the safest way to say it is, we've been in discussions with a lot of people in that category about aligning themselves with us. There's a lot of synergy between mixed martial arts and our fan base, our endemic market, and the fervor that our endemic market has, and the video game category. Obviously, video game category skews to a young male demographic. MMA skews to a young male demographic. So we've had a lot of discussions with a lot of people in that space. I was on board with EA, and I'm actually mentioned on the back of the very first fight night that they ever did that had Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali in it. They're the preeminent player in this space. They're kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the video gaming space. But there are some other great companies in this space as well. But I'm pretty confident you'll see Bellator Fighting Championships aligned with and working with players in that space going into season number 2.
Okay. Now that you signed this deal, will there still be a heavy focus on Hispanic fighters?
I think 2 things. We're not going to in any way turn our back on that demographic. We're going to still have a Spanish language crew. We're still going to have a Spanish language director and Spanish language on-air talent that's going to be calling the fights from cage side. But the breadth of our reach will increase very dramatically because we're going into the general market. We'll have an English language distribution platform as well, which will be available in a very large universe. So there won't be the focus that there was in season number 1 on Hispanic fighters. Our primary distribution source for season number 1 was ESPN Deportes. So with that alone, we tried really hard to put in fighters who could communicate with that audience and who, were some of the best in the world, but were Hispanic by background. That hasn't been the focus going into this season. This season, for the last 3 months, it's just been find the greatest fighters from Japan, from Russia, from Western Europe, from the United States, from South America, from Brazil, from anywhere and everywhere. Just find the best of the best who are available, who have the mindset that can work into the tournament structure, who want to fight regularly and who are aggressively pursuing trying to fight frequently and accomplish something where they can see the end goal very clearly, where that pot of gold is sitting right there and they can go after it. So there will be some great Hispanic fighters. There will be some great Spanish-speaking fighters on our show, but it's not the focus. It's just the best we can find who are not contracted to another organization exclusively, or some of whom are with other organizations, but those organizations have been willing to, because of the exposure vehicle, allow their fighters to come and participate in what we're doing, because they're like, wow, in the US that's a huge distribution platform. So it'll be the full spectrum.